It began with the steady pulse of wind on the old boardwalk as I walked deeper into the marshlands at dusk, and before I knew it, I was standing on the threshold of something silent and wrong. The air felt too still, the sky darkened too quickly, as if the day itself had decided to stop. I had come to the small settlement of Greywater Creek to investigate the disappearance of the house at the end of Willow Lane, an old farmhouse that had stood for more than a century, then vanished overnight with all traces of life inside left behind. Neighbors said they heard nothing. They awoke to find the house gone, as though the land had simply swallowed it whole. When I arrived there, the foundation stones remained, sunken into damp earth and moss, but the house, its walls, its roof, its furniture, all gone. Except for one thing, a single rocking chair on the veranda, gently swaying in a breeze that I could not feel. No footprints, no tire tracks, no sign of struggle. Just the empty frame of a doorway where the front door should have been. I pressed my flashlight beam over the lawn, now wild with cattails and reeds creeping in. Greywater Creek had once been a modest farming community, but one by one families left. They said the land changed, the marsh rose, the well water tasted of iron, and strange lights floated across the night fields. One elderly resident told me she saw a figure in the shadows near the barn, wearing clothes of an era long gone, staring at the farmhouse before it disappeared. I recorded her voice, the tremor in her words. She said, "It looked at the house for a long time, then it watched it leave." The local archive of the county library shows the house belonged to the Whitaker family from 1892 until 1951. After that, no one lived there. By the 1970s, the farmhouse was derelict, but still standing. Then, in late August of 1986, a neighbor returning from a fishing trip found only the foundation, the veranda chair, and no sign of the house at all. A bulldozer that went in the next day found nothing. No debris, no beams, no nails, nothing to indicate demolition. The earth was soft, yes, but not soft enough to simply swallow an entire house. I spent the night in a weathered cabin nearby, the wind moaning in the rafters, long shadows from the reeds creeping across the single window. At around 2:30 in the morning, I woke to a low voice whispering from outside, "It begins again." I flicked on a light. There was nothing. But out the window I saw the rocking chair, silhouetted in moonlight. It rocked. And then the sitting room of the old house, now gone, seemed to appear in the blackness for a flicker. Walls, a fireplace, the shape of the Whitaker's old dog curled on the hearth. And then it was gone. I ventured back to the foundation the next morning. The chair legs had sunk slightly into the veranda wood, which was intact. I measured the plank width and found it matched the original house records. On the ground around, I found footprint impressions, small, child-sized, barefoot, leading from the marsh up to the porch and then stopping, and then none beyond. I followed the trail into the tall reeds where the waterlogged soil swallowed sound, but the prints disappeared, and a small toy wooden horse lay on the rail. It looked vintage early 1900s. No name, no owner. Back that night, I heard the creak of the rocking chair again outside my window. I told myself it was the wind, but the sound paused when I opened the curtain. A single child's giggle echoed in the room. I saw, for one blink, the porch light of the Whitaker house gleam on the far horizon, though the house no longer existed. I blinked, and the light was gone. I asked out loud, "What are you?" The reply came on the wind, "Waiting." My lights flickered. The rocking chair abruptly stopped. I left Greywater Creek at dawn, the mist rising off the marsh like exhaled breath. I drove away with the toy horse in the passenger seat. unsure why I took it, but somehow compelled. I pulled over and inspected the wood. Carved initials faintly. EW 1904. I don't know who EW was. Maybe a child of the house. Maybe the one whose footprints I found. But I feel safe to say the mystery remains. The chair, the footprints, the vanishing house, all pieces of a puzzle I cannot yet place. If you visit Greywater Creek, stay on the boardwalk, don't rock the chair, and listen closely for the child's giggle at 2:30 in the morning. You might hear waiting. Thank you for joining me on this foray into the strange and the silent. Until next time on NoxmoorTales, remember, in the shadows beyond our sturdy walls lie whispers the daylight cannot understand. Press like, comment your thoughts, subscribe, and step quietly into the unknown with a light and a question. Stay vigilant, stay curious.